Y'all, it is annoyingly cold and gray in LA today. We're experiencing something called June gloom, and I was feeling kind of crabby about it. And then I remembered that I'm an icon, and I put on this fluffy sheep sweater, and now I'm really feeling myself. Ba ba, bitches. This video is going to be about makeup that I regret purchasing. I have seen a number of videos like this going on. I feel like mostly I've seen Michelle Wong do it. Like, I've definitely seen her do it. And I know Samantha Marsh does a bunch of regrets videos, like she's been doing this kind of thing forever. I don't think I've ever done anything like this. It's a little bit hard for me because I try to keep kind of an edited collection of makeup. So a lot of the things that I don't continue to love or in any way kind of regret having, like don't want to have, I don't have them around me anymore, and it's hard to remember them. It's like out of sight, out of mind, you know? I wanted to be able to show you everything. So basically this video is like makeup that I have, like for some reason I've kept it around. I still have it and I still kind of use it a little bit, or I haven't brought myself to declutter it. But for one reason or another, I regret buying it. And this is all stuff that I've purchased. Some of it I did purchase for review, and those are things that I probably wouldn't have purchased if I didn't have a YouTube channel. So there's a little bit of a caveat there. It's like makeup that I would regret having purchased if I weren't a YouTuber and I was just a normal consumer and I had purchased this stuff. But in some cases for me, because I do have a YouTube channel, I don't actually genuinely regret it for me, for my life, because it was good to be able to get it and like review it and test the color and the formula, and it's good to be able to like make videos like this about this stuff. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things, but as I've said, I try to keep kind of an edited collection. So I get some PR, I buy some stuff for review, I buy some stuff for myself with my own budget, but I always try to make sure that my collection doesn't balloon out of control. And for me, that often means being mindful about using what I have and making sure that I don't buy a bunch of repeats of stuff. And so assessing my regrets is like, it's a good part of that process. It's always good to just like stay in touch with what I truly want and what I truly love, and you know, what I don't end up loving and don't end up being glad that I own. Let's go ahead and get in. Oh, if that sounds good to you, subscribe to my channel. If you're watching, if you're not subscribed, if you've been watching for a while and you haven't managed to subscribe yet, if you're new and you think that that if you like sheep stuff, then you should subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Okay, the first one, this is one that I'm not going to keep. A lot of the things that I regret buying, I've given away already. I regret buying this and I am going to give it away. The only reason that I have it here with me is that I haven't managed to give it away yet. It's a more recent review. I purchased this for review. The review's up on my channel, and this will probably be the shortest and sweetest one, because if you want to know why I regret this or why I would regret it if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I need to not spend the whole video doing that. You get what I'm saying, right? Like I regret every time I had to put it on my face. It just never made my skin look good. It was so fussy. I couldn't get it to set. It felt like this thin, watery, pigmenty, velvety thing sitting on the surface of my skin ever so delicately. And every time I so much as brushed the corner of my finger across my skin, it would disturb it, let alone like trying to apply something on top of it. And my skin's quite dry. I could never get it to look nice. It always made my skin look a little more wrinkly, a little bit more crusty than it looks with other products. The only good thing about it is that the color was really, really good for me, and it was too bad that it didn't work out, because the color is great and it's hard for me to find a shade match in this kind of product. But overall, one of those things that promised all of the promises, seemed so alluring, and then was an absolute and complete across the board no-go. Did I say what it was? It's the Fenty Eavesdrop Blurring Skin Tint. And let's do one that's a little bit more interesting actually, because I feel like that one was just obvious. It's like, I bought it for review, it sucked for me, I'm gonna give it away, the end. But I was realizing as I was going through all of my products, collecting a handful for this video, that I regret buying the Hollywood Flawless filter, or I would definitely regret buying it if I was just, you know, an ordinary consumer. And it is because I also now have the Auric Glow Lust, which I got for review, and I like it so much better. When I reviewed Auric, I compared it to the Hollywood Flawless filter, and I found that in terms of the finish, they're really quite similar. Like it's they look shockingly similar, the effect that they give when they're swatched out on the hand. The last update I gave you guys, I was saying I preferred the Auric. I reached for it over and over again because the packaging is so beautiful. The pump is so beautiful. I'm just really drawn to it, and it has skincare benefits that this one doesn't have. So I found that I was using it over and over. As I've continued to use it over time, I've realized that there's something about the formula of the Auric. I should bring it over here so that I can just hold it up because I'm talking so much about it. Also gives you a chance to see this top in all its glory. As I've continued to use it, I've started to appreciate that it kind of has like a pore filling quality, which is really strange given that it's so reflective. What I often end up doing is I'll put a thinner, more watery illuminating primer all over my entire face, and then I'll take the Auric and I'll put it just all across my cheeks and under eye area and across my nose. And I find that it gives this really satiny, glowy finish to that part of the face. And then when I apply a blush, even if it's not a luminous blush, I did this today. And then I applied actually like a matte cream blush over top, but I'm still getting a luminous effect on my cheeks because it mixed with the cream blush and it's kind of shining through the cream blush. And when I do that, I find that in my under eye area, which is kind of uneven just because of pores, it sort of like blurs it. It magically like blurs and illuminates at the same time. And the Charlotte Tilbury, I know that everybody always said that that's what it did, like that was sort of its claim to fame, but I don't find that it does that as well. It doesn't give quite as much as this like sealed, satiny, perfected finish. It just isn't the same. It doesn't do it to the same degree. And I don't like this doe foot. I find it very awkward, especially compared to the Auric pump. Now that I have the one from Auric, I would be fine without the Charlotte Tilbury. It's a good thing to have on hand because I'm doing a lot of videos where I'm comparing this. So as a YouTuber, it's a good tool to have. People always want to know how things compare to the Charlotte Tilbury product. And, you know, upcoming, I'm going to be reviewing the Lisa Eldridge. Lisa Eldridge just came out with a version of this. And so, of course, I'm glad I'm going to have the Charlotte Tilbury on hand to like swatch next to it and compare to it. But just as a straight up consumer, I never really fell for it. Even before the Auric came into my life, I never really fell for it in the way that I expected to and in the way that people do. Ooh, here's kind of a juicy one. And this is one that I actually bought with my own budget and then I do straight up regret buying. Obviously, I've been able to review it on my channel, but I kind of do wish I could take it all back. Some of you might be shocked to hear this because I haven't really expressed so far that this product, that it's sort of like let me down. I actually think that I haven't been willing to admit it to myself because it seemed so ideal to me. But at this point, I have finally realized that I regret spending my budget on it. And it's Patrick Ta blush in the shade She's So LA. Here's the thing, I still love the thing. Like I like it, I'm drawn to it. It makes me happy when I like see it in my drawer because I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. I really like Patrick Ta as a brand. I like the stylized nature of the packaging. I really like this. I like the way that it looks. I like the colors. I like this sort of rosy, rich, sunburny bronze. I like that it's a powder and a cream. I just like it as an object. So I don't abhor it. And that's why I haven't decluttered it. It doesn't give me bad feelings when I look at it. But I almost never use it, and it's because the cream blush, which is really what I bought it for, it's just balmier than I was expecting it to be. And it has this sort of like Vaseline-y sheer quality, like that slightly jelly quality of a balm. When you're putting it on, it's just not, it's not like that rich, easy to buff out, seamless, glowy cheek that I am looking for when I'm buying a cream blush, and that so many of my cream blushes do have. So I see it in there. I think about using it all the time. It often is like the first thing I see when I open my drawer because it stands out among all of my blushes. It's so beautiful. And I think it also kind of stands out to me because I bought it with my own budget. It's like it didn't come in PR. It isn't something that I bought for review with my YouTube budget and then I just decided to keep. It's like I picked it and I bought it. And so I just feel like I kind of have this, it feels like it's an A-lister, you know, in my collection. But then the reality is that I overlook it time and time again. Here's the powder. I like the powder. I think of it as more matte, and it's actually a little more satin. The matteness is kind of why I don't reach for it. You can see that the blush, the cream blush, is an absolutely beautiful color, but you can also kind of see that even just in buffing out that swatch, it's sort of like doing that thing where it picks up on the hairs and it shears out behind my hair follicles, and so it's already like a little bit patchy. You can just tell that it is going to be a little more high maintenance in application than other cream blushes. So I obviously have kind of like a mixed feeling about this, but at the end of the day, if I could go back in time and just tell myself not to get it and save myself the trouble of having all of these mixed feelings and just, stick to my other blushes, if I could do that, I would. Okay, let's talk about another straight up kind of fail. And this is another one where I can direct you to the video. I still have this. This is the Saie Glowy Super Gel in Star Glow. The Saie Beauty video that I did, I reviewed like 5 products from their range, possibly the most slanderous review I've ever given it. It was just like literally Saie Beauty, a horrible experience. That was literally the title of my video. Of all of those products that I tried, I feel like this was the one that disappointed me the least, but it didn't mean that it didn't disappoint me. All that it did was to be really lackluster and disappointing. Everything else was like very, very bad in an active way, and I feel like this was kind of just passively bad. And because I really love illuminators, and because most of the ones that I have, sorry, I have some sort of hair, or maybe it's just, I'm fine. We're fine, everything's fine. Many of the illuminators that I have are these like thick, satiny, effectively like makeup-y ones, the Auric, the Charlotte Tilbury. Even I think of Glossier Future Dew, which is like really serumy and has a strong presence on the skin. I thought maybe it would be nice to have like a lighter weight gel one that I could use when I didn't feel like putting as much makeup on, or I didn't want to have as many layers on my face. And indeed, I have ended up reaching for it time and time again. I think partly because the bottle is really pretty, because I do have a lot of no makeup days, because it's so watery, sometimes it does feel like it's adding hydration, and my skin's been pretty dry lately. So there's some things that have caused me to reach for it over and over again. But I've never been glad that I put it on. Isn't that weird? Like, I keep reaching for it. I feel like at this point I might even have used half of it up. The bottle is really beautiful. It does allure me. But I've never put it on and been like, oh yeah, that was a great choice. It looks really great, or feels really great. What I do is I put it on, and then at worst, I'm kind of like, this is so lackluster. And at best, I just put it on and then kind of like forget about it. It never sort of adds pleasure, like adds quality to my makeup routine. And I mean like both the way that it looks and the way that it feels, like the process of putting makeup on. It doesn't add quality to any of those things, any of those aspects of makeup for me. So yeah, obviously I don't regret doing that review. I mean, I enjoy reviewing products from time to time, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad, and that's just the nature of reviewing products. But I regret that some of my money went to this product and that it is now in my collection and I can't seem to shake it. And at some point, maybe I'll declutter it, or maybe I'll make my way all the way through it, but I'm never going to have feelings about it that are other than like, oh, that thing, those kind of like disappointed feelings. And if I had purchased anything from Saie just as a regular consumer, I would have returned it post haste. I don't do that with products that I'm reviewing, but I would have done that if I were a consumer. I would have returned everything, including this. So let's lastly talk about 3 lip products that I regret purchasing simply because of the color. I think this is kind of interesting. Like I feel like when I really love a lip formula, but I feel like the color that I got isn't ideal for me, in those cases, it's often harder for me to like declutter something or let it go because my opinion is split between the color and the formula, if that makes sense. And I'll start with the newest one. And also this is something that I haven't reviewed yet. I got this to review with the Fenty Eavesdrop, and then I completely forgot to include it in the video. So I've been using it. It's the Pro Kisser Luscious Lip Balm and Cocoa Drizzle. It's such a good product. It's really good. I love how nourishing, it's a liquid lip balm. I love how nourishing it feels on the lips. I'm gonna keep it and I'm gonna keep using it. I'd been intrigued by it for so long, and I talked on my channel about being intrigued by it because the shade name is Cocoa Drizzle, and it promised to be that kind of like milky chocolate brown. I feel like all of the imagery I saw of it, it looked more like a milk chocolate. The reality of it is it's very cool toned. I feel like it's even more cool toned in real life than it looks on my hand here in the monitor. I'm looking at it, it looks like a blackened brown, like it looks really cool toned, which it's awesome that they made this color. I mean, I feel like it's a bit unusual to see a shade that's this rich and this cool toned in a lip balm. And I know that for a lot of people, it's gonna be a holy grail both in formula and in color. For me though, it's just a bit too dark, and the cool tone of it makes it a bit too dark for me to do that sort of like juicy overlining that I like to do with sheer and glowy and nourishing products. What I want, because the formula is so good, is to reach for it over and over again and slather it on my lips over and over again. And often I end up doing that and applying it in the very juicy way that I have, for example, this lip gloss applied today, and then it just doesn't look quite right because I've colored too far outside the lines with something that's so much darker than the color of my lips, like the pigment of my lips. So I end up fussing with it and it ends up being fussy, and that's not what I want out of a product like this. I want it to be easy to wear. I'm glad that I decided to review it because I idolized it for so long, and I think there are probably people out there like me who have been like, oh, it's the perfect like milky chocolate and it's the perfect nourishing balmy thing, and you've been wanting it but maybe haven't bought it. I wish that I had gotten this in one of the lighter shades, either the sort of like pale pink one or the more rosy one. I think that either of those would be great. It is a beautiful product. It's really good. I mean, my review of it as a product is that it's really, really good. I think that I just, like, if I had gotten the chance to swatch it in store, I maybe wouldn't have picked it up even for review. And in that way, I regret getting it. Two others. One is the Glossier Vinylic Lip, which has now been discontinued, but this is a good cautionary tale because I did that thing. I was over enthusiastic in buying more colors of a product that I already really love. So this is probably my favorite lip product of all time. I really love Pony. And is that what this? No, this is Genius. I have most of them here. I really love Pony. I really loved Disco, which is like the terracotta. When they came out with two new colors a while back, they came out with Genius, which is like a bit more pink than Pony. And they came out with with Driver, which is a more, gosh, you can't even see how cool toned it looks. This is part of why I got into trouble with it. It looks more like a brick. And I feel like traditionally brick reds do work on me. I prefer a terracotta. I prefer like a grungy browny red that has those warm undertones. And when reds get too blue toned, they look really bad on me. Like they turn like this weird magenta, and it's not flattering for me at all. So those kind of like beetroot magenta colors of lip products, which look so beautiful in the tube and so beautiful on the models, they don't tend to work on me. But this doesn't look like it's gonna be that. But look at the swatch. Well, I don't know if you're getting this. Maybe I would have to like put it on my lips to really give you a sense of how bad it looks on me. But there I've like buffed it out a little more. You can see how kind of blue pink it gets when it buffs out. They came out, they were new. I had credit in the Glossier store, and I was just like, I've got to get both of those two new lip colors, and I've got to be able to review them, and I've got to add to my collection, and I love the Vinylic Lip. And I just got them, even though it clearly said that this was like a blue toned red, or you could clearly tell that it was. I wish at that time that I had just gotten Genius, which, pinks aren't really that much my jam either, but I know that I can make a peachy pink like this work from time to time. And so I do wear it from time to time. This was a reasonable step outside of my usual comfort zone and away from my usual color palette. Driver was an unreasonable step away from my usual color palette. If I had taken myself to task before making the purchase, if I'd been honest with myself, I would have said, yeah, I know this isn't gonna look good on me, and I know that I'm not gonna enjoy wearing it. I'm just getting it because it's like new colors of a thing that I really, really love, new Glossier, all of the excitement and hype surrounding it. I just regret it. There's this drive to like pick up a new color because you know that you love the formula. But it's like, if the reason you know you love the formula is because you already have it in colors that are perfect for you, then what are the chances that the new colors are gonna be better for you? Maybe not good. Like maybe just stick with the ones you already have because you already love them as much as you could possibly love a thing. That's why you feel compelled by the new ones. Glossier Driver specifically is like my little reminder not to do that, not to do this kind of thing again. And finally, another really good product that I just picked the wrong color of. This is the Maybelline Lifter Gloss, and I have kept it all of this time. I really love the packaging. I really like the formula. It's got this really seamless, like lacquering but slippy quality to the formula. It's pretty beefy. It's very beautiful. But this color, I picked the color Crystal because I found out about this product from Becca Sun, who's an amazing Instagrammer. I'll link her down below. She was doing these beautiful swatches on a video on Instagram, and I watched the video, and the swatch that looked the most beautiful, that was like shimmering and glistening the most in the sun, was this one, the color Crystal. Looking at the colors on the drop-down menu on Ulta's website, because I got this in like a haul for a review of drugstore makeup, I wouldn't have picked it, I don't think, just of my own accord. But because it had looked so beautiful in Becca's video, I was like, that's the one that I've got to have. So in some way, it was like I was buying the fantasy of the swatch that I had seen rather than using my best judgment. And it's kind of like the same thing with Driver. I was like buying into the fantasy of the hype and the excitement of getting the new colors rather than actually using my best judgment. And with this, I was like, yeah, buying a fantasy that I had kind of had about the product rather than using my best judgment. Something about the warmth of the color and the gold glitter doesn't quite look right on me. Every time I put it on, I know it's like, this is a weird thing to say about a sheer gloss, but I feel like it's wearing me, kind of. Like it just kind of feels like it's on my lips rather than being like one with my makeup look. The color is just not quite right for me. So I may at some point pick up another color of this. For the time being, I guess what I can say is that because I got it for review, because I was going to get it for review, in that context, in the context of going ahead and buying one, I just wish that I had used everything that I do know about myself to make a better choice about the color instead of just like going on like the wild lark of what I had dreamed would be the most shiny and glistening. I just wish I had thought it through a little bit more. So that's it. Some of these products are ones that I regret because they truly didn't work for me or they're kind of garbagey. Some of them are ones that I regret because I just have, you know, something else that's similar that I think works way better. And some of them I just, you know, regret not really thinking it through, not being honest with myself about what kinds of colors that I like. It's hard to let go of a product like that when you enjoy the formula a lot. And so it ends up being this kind of like good but still slightly disappointing thing that's hanging around. And I don't really like that. I like to really passionately love everything I have. It's okay to make mistakes sometimes. I mean, sometimes we think something through, we think we're gonna really, really love something. We spend our own budget on something after making sure we have enough money and after double and triple checking, and then it still turns out to be something that's just not quite right. It's okay for it to happen from time to time. You can't predict the future. You can't always be 100% sure that you're gonna love something forever and use it all up down to its last drop before you buy it. But it is good to, you know, check yourself before you wreck yourself as much as you can, especially if you, like me, don't want to end up with piles and piles of stuff in general. And, you know, definitely don't want to end up with piles and piles of stuff that you never use or that you on some level regret ever having bought. Thank you for watching this video. You know, if you can think of something off the top of your head that you regret buying, but especially if it's something that you regret buying, but you still have for some reason, because that's what all of this stuff was for me. If you feel like sharing, put it in the comment section down below. I'd love to know. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.